Stay tuned, stay tuned, stay tuned. I'm here with the coach. Damn it, John Brent. That way.
I'm here with the vet, Mr. Ian Griffin. I got it.
Somebody rehearsed. Somebody didn't.
I know. It's always weird.
Yep. Yeah. So, man, what's going on, Coach?
Man, just almost back to school. I go to Austin next week for some training. Weird as Austin, so that'll be interesting. And got the kids going back to school in a couple of weeks. So, yeah, it's about that time of the year again.
It is. It is. We're one weekend we're going to a concert, going to see the Foo Fighters.
Yep.
Yeah. And the next weekend, I think we're going to college for the boy. We're going to Stephen F. Austin. That's the first one. Going to Stephen F. Austin. We're going to get him down to Texas Tech and a few other places, down to A&M and all that. So he's in that phase of life. And then, of course, we're going to head across the pond. I'm excited about that. So
that is crazy. It's going to be very interesting, especially with what we're going to talk about today, because going back to school, are masks going to be mandated? Are we going to go to virtual learning again at any point in time? Is it getting there? You're about to go to all these colleges. Is it going to be something where they're going to limit people at times again? And then going over the pond, who knows how that's going to happen with everything's touch and go again. Or is it really touch and go? So I think that's some of the things we're going to talk about today with the COVID vaccine, which some have changed their minds, and even the coach is starting to change his mind a little bit. So this ought to be interesting.
Yeah. So, and of course, the governor has come out and said, hey, can't make nobody. Sorry, right. No matter what we do. Which I don't have a problem with that. If you're sick, stay home.
Yeah. I wanted to say something a little bit interesting to start off. That is, I work for a company that is run out of Austin. It's called Goodwill Industries, and they actually run the charter school for the prison system that I teach in. And we received last week our itinerary to go down this week with a questionnaire and a survey. And part of that survey, they needed to know, were you vaccinated or unvaccinated? And then there was a disclaimer that you will not be, losing your job no matter what you answer. But I thought we're getting to that point already where the question is coming out, with your employment.
So I'm going to say this is that's a HIPAA violation. Just throwing it out there. And I gave this example to the Chief of Staff of the Army a long time ago of what we encountered. In the Army, you have soldiers that you're responsible for, and you got to know some of their medical issues. You got to understand it so you can train accordingly, follow the rules the doctor hands out, and all this other stuff, and know where to focus your energy on. And and mental is a big thing. And I got a call one day from a soldier who's missing, and I didn't know where he's going to go into this, but she was missing, and the doctor says, "Hey, she missed her appointment." I'm like, okay, we'll find her. She goes, no, we need to know where she's at right now. I'm like, why are you all so serious about this? And she goes, well, her husband a few days ago was in another unit. Her husband went and grabbed the dog and pulled her in the kitchen and cut the dog's head off in front of her.
Oh,
and I'm like, what? I said, don't you think this is something I needed to know as a leader? Because we have ways that we can put them in safe houses and things like that. And that's what we did. But that was one of those times that HIPAA didn't need to come into play. Yeah. But with this here, HIPAA, I hate to say it, that's the Supreme Court ruling waiting to happen one day is on this right here. But anyway, we came to talk about the COVID vaccine.
Yeah.
And I'll say this is I've had the vaccine and I've had the COVID. So I don't know if I did any good or bad by doing that or not. And I got a couple of kids that has it, but we got some questions in regards to our son who's, not out of high school. Why? Show me where there's some evidence that his kids ain't going to be born with 5 fingers, or they're going to be born with 6 fingers, or whatever it may be, because we don't know that answer. And somebody say, well, hey, you're stirring the pot, giving misinformation. I'm not giving no misinformation. I'd like to know the answer. Where's their test to prove that? Because when I took the Moderna vaccine, what did they tell us when we took it? that it was not yet approved. You're taking it on your own accord. So I don't know, Coach. I mean, what are your thoughts on all that there?
Well, I've been all over the board the last year. A year ago, I'd have said I'm not taking this crap because, even if they get it approved by FDA that quick, which is still not approved by the FDA. I mean, most of the things that we take, vaccines or not, are years and years in the making. I did speak with someone this week that kind of gave me some other information. One of my Facebook's friends, that her brother works in vaccines, and they've been working on a SARS vaccine for a number of years. So it wasn't like this just came down the pipe, like, oh, we got to create something, and 3 days later it came out. So I understand that. One of the things that has flipped my thinking a little bit, and I have still not vaccinated, and no one in my immediate family is. My wife and I both have had COVID. My wife's had COVID twice. Since February the 8th, to almost the end of July, there's been 9,000 deaths in Texas. Of those 9,000 deaths, only 43 of those 9,000, only 43 were vaccinated. And of that 43, 75% of those 43 who died were fighting other serious underlying conditions prior to, such as diabetes, heart disease, blood pressure, cancer, or chronic lung disease. So we're talking somewhere in the neighborhood, my math's not perfect, but around 10 out of 9,000 died that were vaccinated. That blew me away.
Wow. Yeah, that's, I will say I've evolved over this. Is even though I threw those questions out there, I do think that maybe my son should get the vaccine. But my deal is this, will this affect him reproductively? Will this affect his kids? And I'm sorry, I don't have enough COVID babies running around right now for you to really tell me that answer.
Sure.
And that's not me being dumb. That's not me being a deep woods East Texan person. It's just laying out a common sense question: is where have all these babies that made it healthy? Because I ain't seen enough of them yet. And I'm not talking 10 or 20 of them. I want to see hundreds and thousands. Because I do believe that we devoted more energy on this testing of COVID than probably any other thing that we devoted energy for, because the whole world was at it, and we were all petrified of it. So I think we circled the wagons around it. So I do believe that there is a lot more data out there than there has been things that went awry on previous vaccines. Yeah. So that makes me do feel better on that. But the thing about previous vaccines is, by the time I came around in life, they'd already been kicking on 10, 20 years,
sure.
So I don't know. I mean, let me ask this. When you buy, let's say, the first Corvette that came out, when you bought it, was it all that in a bag of Cheetos? Well, it's a collector's item. It had a freaking 6-cylinder in it. Come on now, Was it all that? No, it wasn't. When the first Mustang came out, was it all that in a bag of Cheetos? It had a 6-cylinder in it. No, it wasn't. It took about 5 years for us to go, let's put this in it, and let's put this in it, and let's put this in it. Let's fix this problem here. Let's fix this problem. So we just rush out these vaccines. Now, I'm not denying anybody. If my neighbor gets a vaccine, so be it. If they don't, so be it. I'm not losing no sleep over it. That's kind of me.
I just have been amazed at the vaccine and unvaxxed shaming that has been going on.
Yeah.
Not only in the media, but also just on social media. It's like you post, if you get a vaccine shot, you post that, I am COVID-19 vaxxed. I don't know how many people go to the doctor for any other things and put a effing, disclaimer up there on their Facebook, and they say, I went to the doctor today and I had the shits and they gave me some, they gave me something for my shits. I mean, are you kidding me? It's like, this is something to say I did it and you didn't. And anytime that you post something that has to do with even a question, like you say, you got people coming, the science, this, it's just like they're beating you down. You can post pictures all day long about your family on a fun trip. They don't say anything, but the minute you do that, it's like,
Yep.
It's, so I've never in a million years would think that would happen. And another thing is, it's not like the politicians aren't taking the vaccine. So it's not like we're just throwing it out to us to try and see what happens. I mean, even President Trump got the vaccine early on. I mean, he's the one that started Operation Warp Speed the way he did, and he did an amazing job. I think 10, 15 years down the road, they'll look back and go, man, that was one of the great things that he did. But I mean, even President Trump's had it. Most of the congressmen that are complaining about this and the mask mandate, they've been vaccinated. I don't think it's an issue of they're testing it out on the common folk. I think it just depends on if you're the common folk, do you want to look at like you are with Gunner? Maybe there's some kind of reproductive issue, maybe based on, he's a young kid that's healthy. Even if he does get it, what is his odds of passing away from it? And then there's people that in my family that have some, issues, some health issues that we're thinking differently, that, maybe they're compromised in a different way that, why would it hurt to so, I mean, but to not be able to make this decision as a family or as an individual, and it's almost like the government and the mass of people are telling me what I have to do. It's at a scary place. I don't like that part of it. Even though that I'm coming along to, maybe it's that time. I always say, well, when the FDA approves it, then I'll really start thinking about it. I think I'm starting to really think about it now.
I am too. But I will say you hit a good point, and I've seen a lot of this is we have anti-vaxxer shaming, whatever you want to call it. The either you got the vaccine or we shame you, and you got that from people who I know and respect, and they go. I posted a picture when Governor Abbott came out and said you can take your mask, and they had the Glinda from Wizard of Oz. Well, darling, you could have took your mask off the whole time. And they go, oh, well, darling, a lot of people have died because they've taken their mask off. Really? They died because of that? I mean, it wasn't the virus? I thought it was the virus, not the mask. And then and I see people like that post all the time that you're killing people. You are bad because you did. Why are you bad? You ain't even had the damn virus. I mean, why are you bad?
Yeah.
And then you got the government doing it.
Right. And first of all, what we totally forgot about is this is a virus that came from an area in China, the Wuhan area. Either came from a lab or it came from a wet market. But it didn't come from East Texas. It didn't come from a mask wearer. It didn't come from a person not wearing a mask. And to be honest with you, you and I have not really discussed this. But unless you're wearing a real N95 mask, you're not really being protected. So to put something on your face, maybe it makes it 20%, maybe it makes it 30% better, but you're not protecting yourself or anybody else from if you have COVID or if they have COVID. You're just not. Right. You're wearing a mask to look like you're complying with an order.
So, and my other deal is the government has exuded shaming on this left and right. Consult with your doctor as long as you get the shot. Let's put out let's use taxpayer dollars to make sure you get the shot. Let's do advertisement to get you to get the shot. Now, let's talk about the shot a second. One of them goes for $14.90 a shot. Another one goes for $20 a shot. Something tells me the government went and paid for all of these, and they bought them all and like, hey, we got this inventory shit. I need everybody to get it now. We'll give it infants. They're not, okay? But, I mean, we're going to give it to everybody, or maybe you need a second round. Because they bought a lot of it, and that don't want to be talked about because, well, we don't want to talk about that. But and don't get me wrong, I think if you want to get the shot, go get the shot. And if you don't want to get the shot, okay, we can still have lunch. Just don't get the shot. You don't have to be a bad guy to not get the shot. That's my deal. Is why did somebody have to be bad? Because this is the thing I got, Coach. If they're going to shame adults for this. What are they going to do with teenagers? And what is the teenager community going to do when you have the haves and the have-nots? It's going to get bad. Right.
Well, you know what? It's called bullying on steroids. And when we were growing up, there was initiation. If anybody wants to watch Dazed and Confused and watch that movie, that's the way it was around Pittsburgh. You ran around the summer hoping that the senior didn't find you when you graduate 8th grade. And you hoped that the girls wasn't found and they'd throw you in the baseball or in the city park and pour stuff all over you and take you around in the truck. It was now called bullying. But you know what this is, and they stopped all that bullying. You can't have initiations. They call it hazing. You can't have any of those things anymore. Anything happens in school anymore, what do? They call it bullying, and they send the kid home. But what's going on now in our media and in the government is they're actually bullying the public. Yeah, exactly what they're doing. They're bullying you with this $100 or this lottery, or if you don't get it, you can't go to this location. You can't go overseas. And even now you have we haven't even talked about this. If you are vaccinated, you still can carry and give to someone else the disease. Is what we're being told. So now I won't say this last thing I'll say, but I'm going to take it back to you is I do know now that having the vaccine almost takes your chance of death to a point of nothing, and your hospitalization to just barely above nothing. Okay, so don't get me wrong. I think the vaccine is very helpful with keeping people from dying. Okay, but the vaccine is not keeping people from spreading it as much as they thought.
No, I agree with you there, Coach. I said this earlier, but before I get there is why are we shaming people though? I mean, why are we doing that? Is it because the government got a lot of money tied up in this and they need to get it going or something? Or what is the real purpose behind this? Because every family is different. Your family is different from my family. My family is different from the next person's family. And we all have our reasons. And maybe we're consulting with doctors and such, people don't, they don't understand all those things. They just want to give a blanket statement. Either you got the vaccination or you're killing people. Yeah. And, think about simple things. Think about a person that is a redhead. In order for somebody to be a redhead, both the father and the mother both have to have a recessive gene just to make somebody a redhead. That's something simple. That's something small that we take for granted. But there might be other things that are hereditary in people's pipeline because, hey, they really can't take that because it's going to screw with other things in their life. Who knows? We don't know their history.
Yeah.
And things of that nature. And I just think that maybe we should just what's that thing the Democratic Party don't like to do or liberals don't like to do? Respect each other. Maybe we should just respect each other and call it a day and sit there and go, oh, Johnny didn't get the COVID vaccine. Who cares? Johnny's still Johnny. He's still the same guy that cooks a great steak. He's still the same guy I hang out with, and things like that. Or maybe it's none of my business what Johnny got, and I still hang out with him, because he's still not a bad person. Is what I think.
Go ahead.
Go ahead, Coach. Well, instead of wasting taxpayer dollars on political paid advertisement to go, Big Brother's watching you, and you are bad because you didn't get the COVID vaccine. Because the lady that's down the street that's 95 years old will die because of you.
Yeah. Well, I think when we look back on this time period, when I call the time period, I'll call it about the second term of Obama to now. When we look back on this time period in about 30, 40 years, we're going to look at it as the most disrespectful time that probably happened in the last 100 years with the opposition parties. The shaming that we looked at when the COVID came around, because COVID will go away. Sooner or later, we're not going to be having COVID the way we have now. We're going to get past it. We're going to look back in reflection. But I think the way people treated each other with the shaming and you didn't get it, you killed this person, and those types of things, people don't forget that kind of stuff. And it's kind of, what happens in the next adventure, journey, or circumstances that we have coming up in the future, it reflects back to where you came from, how you're going to act in the future. And I think that's one of the things that happened. After 9/11 happened, we were kumbaya, and we were kumbaya for a little bit of time. But as soon as the next something big happened, then that's your reset button. And I think the reset button that we're going to get from this going to our next pandemic or next issue or world war or whatever we have is we can't work together as a country right now on anything.
Yeah. History does repeat itself.
Yeah.
World War II, we had our little attack that happened to us. A few years later, we had our 60s, and right now we're living through our 60s. It's exactly what's happening. It's just going in full circle. We're going through our 60s right now. Well, So, Coach, I'll just say this. Whether you get the vaccine or not, we'll still have a beer. We'll still do the coach in the vet, and I won't hold nothing against you. If you get it, I'll still look at you the same way. And if you don't get it, I'll still look at you the same way. And maybe that's what we should do in life instead of making it about bullshit, and maybe they have the reasons.
And you're right. And I do know, and this is not something that I was told specifically, but I am probably about 90% sure that I had some family members that were going to come in, in the last 6 or 8 months and visit. And that visit didn't come to our residence. And I just feel like it was because we weren't vaccinated. And that was a serious blow to me to feel that way because this person was very close to me. I'm not mad at them for it, but I believe that it put us both in a situation of we're on two sides of what we should be on the same side as an American and people that love each other. And there is a divide that's not just a political divide or Democrat, Republican, left, right, conservative, liberal. Now we have, another side, vaccinated, unvaccinated. So
yeah,
it just continues. It's on to the next episode, brother. There's another one coming.
Yep.
Something.
Yep, I agree. So I will say this. I think it's time for us to get out of here. And so I'll say, from the coach.
You got it. To the bet, man. You're never going to get it right.
Stay tuned. Stay tuned. Stay tuned.